for made in Montana food products? Look no further than Town & Country Foods of Dillon.
I usually go all the way down, but this year I'm looking at plots, I'm like, I'm not. Looking for made in Montana food products? Look no further than Town & Country Foods of Dillon.
7 o'clock, I'll call the June 15th meeting of the regular city council to order. First of all, Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sorry, I was going to grab my briefcase and put it in.
Okay, the next item is approve the minutes
Recording in progress.
of the June 1st meeting. There was a typo, it said May 1st, and the next day she sent out a reminder that it was June 1st instead of May 1st.
Move to approve June 1st.
Second.
It's been moved to approve June 1st meeting minutes, seconded by Diane. Corrections?
Mr. Mayor, I was reading through and I really am bringing fresh eyes to this because I missed the last meeting, so I didn't. But in the first part...
I missed the last meeting, so
Yep, that's me. It says under minutes, it says 2 changes were noted, including clarifying Tracy Sawyer, blah, blah, blah. What was the other change to the minutes?
It was a double word.
Yeah, it's a double word. Part of
It's a
that.
double word.
Double word.
Double
Oh,
word.
so it was just a word choice, yeah,
Yes.
just a typo.
Smitten, yeah.
And I think I'll wait until a different part of the meeting to talk about the Dow Engineering report from Kevin Johnson. I have some questions on that, but I actually have several questions on that part.
Isn't this Mondays? I wasn't Also, Mayor, in Part C of under the manager's report, partway down, it says Mongus instead of Mungus for the construction.
About the middle of the paragraph.
Yeah,
Oh,
okay.
on this.
What was the
Right
other?
here.
What was, wait, I found that one, but what was the other correction?
I asked what the other one was, and it was just a typo.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
It wasn't-
Call for the question.
Okay, question's been called for to approve the minutes as amended. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed the same?
Who made the motion?
Russ made the motion, Diane seconded it,
Okay, thank you.
and
Sorry.
called for the question. The minutes are passed as amended. Next, petitions and communications. There's 2 letters from the police commission that were too late to get into the packet last meeting, and just informed you that they're just information. I don't know if anyone has any questions about them. Okay, on to the mayor's report. First item is approve a waiver of the July 4th fireworks between July 1st, 2022 at 1 a.m. to July 5th, 2022 at 1 a.m. or whatever the council sees fit.
Move to accept.
Second.
It's been moved to accept by Don, seconded by Russ. Any other questions, comments?
Can't we move that to 12 feet?
Have in the, maybe Mr. Hand, you'll remember, is it in past years, it's been from 12 midnight
It's right there.
to July 4th to 12 midnight on July 5th, correct? And now we're just moving it to 1 a.m. on July 4th to 1 a.m. on July 5th.
Which hopefully will cover those folks that have to shoot off fireworks in the middle of the night. Yes.
Right.
I would prefer midnight. That's my opinion.
I would even go earlier. I think that, past 11 o'clock really is hard for, especially people who are working the next day.
Well, although a lot of times the city isn't done with theirs until 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
And so people
Yeah.
go home and then they do theirs. So. But I would move that we move it to 12 o'clock PM for the 4th.
That'd be the third.
Third.
The third.
Be the third.
No,
Third.
the 4th one. It ends at 12, well,
Oh.
12 PM on the 4th or
Would be,
or AM for the 5th, I guess.
So,
it would be 12 a.m. on July 4th to 12 p.m. or 12 a.m. on July 5th.
Mhm.
They're both a.m.s.
we could just move to July, because no one's on the midnight of the third, light them off, and just change the July 5th to midnight instead of that. Still leave it 1 o'clock on the 4th.
Oh, sure.
July 4th.
So I don't think many people get up in the middle of the night and light fireworks off.
No, but actually, we want it on 12 a.m. July 3rd to 12 a.m. July 4th.
So you couldn't shoot them off on the night of the 4th?
Yeah, so 12, so
Do you know
midnight,
anybody shooting fireworks the night of the 4th?
no, well, if we do 12 a.m. from July 3rd to 12 a.m. on July 4th,
That's
Then-
the morning.
right, and night of the 4th, they'll be able to.
No,
That was
that's the night of the
11:59 PM.
11:59 p.m. on the 4th is the 4th. At midnight, it's the 5th.
Right,
Just make it 12:01
okay, 12
on the 5th.
Yeah, let's count it.
They get that extra minute.
Or we could just have it say the entire day of the 4th.
Yeah.
Whoa. What year?
This year. The only reason I put the 1 a.m. is sometimes we have that overflow. Sometimes, like you said, the big ones don't end until about mid-11, and then people go home and they start shooting those ones off, and then at 12:01, 12:30, it's just they kind of carry over. You know, sometimes those people start their fireworks and they have so many of them that they just keep going. It's like, well, we started it here, and yeah. It's a
Are you some people?
I'm not some people.
Well, some of us like to go to bed, and some of us have animals that don't like it,
I agree.
and they're constantly calming them down, and besides that, I mean, you aren't gonna be able to get to everyone when they're letting them off past that time anyways. But
Well, and I belong to this little neighborhood over here, and they actually close the street, and they spend more money on fireworks than is, it rivals the budget of Dillon. But at 5 minutes till midnight, they stop. I mean, they just stop. They are, and because of that, they've been able to keep that North Pacific Street gathering, and everybody's invited to come, but they've been able to keep that going for probably the last 15 years. So,
Do they stop,
Is that
or they just go
good?
home in front of their house and let them off?
Yeah.
in the neighborhood?
no, they all live there, so they just go in their house, and everybody's pretty toasted by 10 in the night. So,
It's all the fireworks going off, right? So it might be easiest for the public to understand if we just leave it as printed, in all honesty.
true.
Is that 12:59 a.m., 12:59 p.m. confuses a lot of people.
It isn't, it's, It's 11:50.
And the police have to explain it, and then they have to chase it. I'm trying to save your budget, chief.
Thank you.
Call for the question.
Okay, the question's been called for to accept the waiver of July 4th, the light fireworks off as printed from our police chief. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
So it is, passes 6-2. Dan and Mary Jo had nay votes.
You can't have a double negative, just saying. All those that say opposed say nay. Nay is a double negative. All those opposed say aye. Robert's rules. Just
Okay, the next one. Approve the resolution declaring it to be intent of the City of Dillon to hold a hearing to consider amendment for the fiscal budget 2021-2022 budget, setting a date for a hearing and proposed budget amendment and directing the publication of the notice of the hearing.
Move to approve.
second.
Been moved by Dan, seconded by Russ.
So, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
We will undoubtedly approve this, and at the next meeting, we'll have a hearing, and that's when we listen to the public. I would request that somebody from the Finance Committee explain this page to me, so that when people ask me, what is the budget amendment about, we can explain it to them in a coherent fashion.
Okay, if you take the first one, the Mud Fund 2020, or 5220,
Yeah.
the very top line, on your cash reserves, the starting cash was what starting cash was. The proposed revenue that was going to come in this year is 99.5. The proposed expenditures was at 230.70. And the cash reserve, what we had, the ending balance was at 644. So on the count, next line down is the account, or the fund number, the account number it's going into, the object code is construction. It was right at 0 to finish paying the bill, so it don't go in negative. We need to transfer $38,500 out of the cash reserve into that account.
This is coming from the street maintenance cash reserve account. What is the account 430500?
430500.
Yeah,
That is the account number, it's the water operating account.
So we're transferring $38,500 from the water operating account into the
fund is the water reserve for replacement. The account number is in that fund is the water operating. Objective code is construction. I covered not the telephony system. For what is it?
The telemetry system.
Telemetry system that they put up around, and then the transfer from that account to the 5239, the construction of the water replacement main.
Okay, so yeah, you're going from water operating to the water replacement account. And it pays for the telemetry that system that we bought for the city water system?
It's a water system
Okay.
that bounces through the different, from up there to all the wells, and I think it goes out to the wastewater, doesn't it?
Covers all of them.
So that new system, never knew what that new system cost. It cost $38,500?
No, the total system was 171 or something like that. So half of it came out of the water, half of it came out of the sewer.
Sewer reserves.
And the next one down is the same thing. This is where the money for the construction projects is 5239. The replacement of the Big Red River replacement main. And we have money in there. You can see on the second line, we still have $134,831. What they've been doing here, a lot of it's getting into the Idaho Street replacement. So I don't know how much is going in. Usually the bills come in at about $140,000 every month. So we have 139. If some of it, some should be taken out of the Idaho Street replacement fund. But, you know, just to be safe, instead of going in negative if it doesn't, that's why I put the second one down there, to transfer $50,000 into the budget.
And that $50,000 comes from where?
Reserves.
The reserves, it's more or less that $3,777,000 loan that we took out from the state.
And are these bills that are different bills than the bill when you supply us with a report from not only Dow but from Mungus, and it says, you know, we've completed 20% of the project. We would like to be paid 20%, and so we agree on it as a council, and then we go ahead and pay those bills. And then when they were 50% done, we got another report. Are these bills, is this approximately 140,000, is that in excess of those?
No, every month Mungus gives Dow a bill. They go through it, make sure everything's into the categories that it's supposed to come out of. So we get a bill from Dow for the engineering for that month, and a bill from Mungus for what they've done that month. So, and then the only biggest reason why that goes over is because of that change order for Coleman going under the Big Red River. If it wasn't for that, we would be well in budget.
And about how much over budget are we going to be?
Ooh, under 500,000 probably, I would say, because Kip, I talked to him, he doesn't see any, he says there might be a small one for Virginia Street when they were dealing with all the lines down there and had to get the vacuum truck. But other than that, he hasn't ran across any others in downtown here, and he has 2 blocks left to go.
So we will have approximately $500,000 in cost overruns. And didn't we budget approximately $350,000?
250.
250. So we'll not only have outspent our contingency fund, we will even go beyond that, another $250,000.
Approximately, yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you for that information.
Any other comments, questions?
Call for the question.
Question's been called for. All in favor of sending this to get publicized for setting a hearing, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Okay, aye. Okay. Motion carries. We'll get published. We'll have a hearing on July 6th at about 6:45. Okay, on to the reports of officers and boards of the city. Library Board, Diane Armstrong.
Okay, in the packet you'll find the minutes for April 14th and April 22nd. I ask for your approval.
Move to accept.
Second.
Been moved by Russ, seconded by Dan to accept the minutes of the Library Board for April 14th and April 26th.
Then there is one typo on the 26th, under credit card financial, under credit card, second line, third line down. The line starts with the word form. I believe that's supposed to be from.
Call for the question.
Question's been called for to accept the minutes of April 14th and April 26th meeting of the Public Library. All in favor of accepting minutes, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously.
And then we did have a special meeting on Monday that we worked with Lori on the budget and also a memorandum of understanding with MMIA, and those will be, I would hope, in the next council meeting agenda in the minutes. And that concludes my report.
I guess I got a couple, or a question.
Okay?
It appears to me on the April 14th minutes, seems to me like we're gonna be asking for higher wages. Is
Yeah.
that correct?
They are.
Where are we gonna come up with the money?
Well, she's presented to the mayor with her budget, so I'm assuming they've got the money to cover it. I know she's made some adjustments to cut some things back, and she's trying to bring the wages there more in line with what they have at the city, because they've been underpaid quite a bit from what the employees are here.
Okay.
You might remind them that the MOU has to be signed by the mayor and has to be approved by the council before he can sign it.
Yeah, and it should be in the next, because he was at the meeting as well on Monday, so hopefully it'll be presented at the next meeting.
Yeah, the clerk's been on working on it too, that there's been different mistakes that going to get corrected, so it's probably gonna have to come back to the library board, the MOU, before it comes to the council anyway.
Yeah, that's not a document that they would accept from the library itself, because they're not the insured.
Oh,
The city is the insured, so it has to come from us.
okay. Well, I know we have another meeting on Tuesday, the 28th, another library board meeting.
It'll have to be before the 24th, so both the council and the library board will have to have special meetings
Oh, okay.
to approve the signing from the director of the library board and the mayor. Bummer.
Any other questions for the library council member? Okay, on to the next one. Our attorney, Marta Farmer.
Really the only thing worth noting was a meeting, the county commissioners, I'm not sure if anyone's read about it, but at the county commissioners, they held a meeting on Monday morning. The mayor and I and former Mayor Clocken were in attendance at that meeting. Their counsel from out of town, both attorneys came down to meet with the commissioners regarding the lawsuit of the city versus the county. And essentially from that meeting, the commission did vote to authorize their attorneys to begin to offer settlement. They are putting together an offer right now. We're getting them documents that they need to look at. They want to see exactly where the lines run and just some mapping pictures of that. But there is I think some giant progress made on that end. I'm happy to, for us, it seemed to be a good meeting for the way the advice of their counsel went. So I am expecting an offer as soon as we get some copies of some maps to their attorneys for them to look at and take before some of you members of the county to review. And I think the next big step that will take place is a meeting with the attorneys and the third party who own the subdivision. Because their input impacts the county more so than us, but the county has to consider what ramifications will be for settling with the city. So we're trying to get them involved in the discussions so that we can come up with an agreement that will satisfy both parties' needs. But that's where that's sitting right now. So expect some, I'm hoping to have a settlement offer from them in the near future. It sounded pretty promising for us to start looking at. Yes.
Is this the property on the other side of the golf course? Is that what we're talking about?
Yes, yes, the Club subdivision.
Question for you. If we take a settlement from them, then they don't have to be annexed into the city or connect to the city water lines?
We don't, the settlement wouldn't be from them. They're not a party to the suit. The suit is against the county. And in this type of situation, the remedy really that the city is looking for would be for them to hook up and, for us to proceed with annexing. The county can't force them to annex. So what we're trying to do is work with the county and with the subdivision at the same time so that there can be a resolution that we don't need to keep pursuing and the county will fix the issues that were created while at the same time meeting the needs of the city and getting to address the issues with the water line and sewer line and then not hooking up. So it's somewhat complex given how many parties are involved, but from that meeting it sounds like at least the city and county realize that they're on the same page. We just need to get the landowners involved now and at the table.
The reason I ask is I have concern that if we allow this one to go without hooking up, then every subdivision that goes in around the surrounding area of Dillon are gonna fight. So you're setting precedents if we don't.
That's not what we're talking about doing. Settling is they're going to offer a settlement from their end, they're the defendant. They are offering a resolution and hoping that we accept that. We are not offering less than what we want. We're just waiting to see what their offer is.
So part of that would be that some corrections are made so this doesn't reoccur, we hope?
That is in the grander scheme of things, what the county is discussing with us as well, and what their attorneys are trying to say to the county that they need to consider. As long as I've been involved in this, that's been my hope and my big question to the county, is we don't want to be back here over and over and over. So we are trying to work towards, my impression is a long-term solution that doesn't get us involved in this again.
Which may be just as simple as educating those involved, is that right?
That was taking place. The attorneys that are working for the county let them know some of the issues in the record, and that was on their part, not on the city's part. So I believe that they understand now what some of the issues were with how the whole process that took place. So that was also something that we were hoping to accomplish with the suit, is just to set forth to them what needs to be done in the future. But we also want to prevent the situation from happening and be a little more proactive on the city's end. And so that's what we're trying to work with them too, so that there's more of a cohesive process. And I think that's happening. I mean, in my opinion, was a positive one for the city.
Good.
So, Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
My question would be, so is part of the settlement going to be an action plan that in the future, this is what the process will be? Will that be part of the settlement with the county?
That hasn't been discussed, but the issue is, Mary, that the process is there. And the suit itself is that the process wasn't followed. So there's no need to pursue correcting a process. It wasn't followed correctly. That's been our stance the whole time. So, you know, I don't know that would not make or break a settlement from my perspective. I think we want to deal with this issue, but there are some brainstorming coming on. I don't want to, it's not an offer yet. It's something that is being considered, like some items being considered, but I think their attorneys are attorneys who represent a lot of counties and towns on both sides of these types of disputes. And so that attorney has some good, I guess, you know, she's some good foresight on how to keep these issues from occurring again. So they understand the dynamics that are going on between county and city, and which is benefiting the situation, in my opinion.
Well, I wanted to let you know that I understood from a party that was part of that meeting that not only did the county attorneys, but also you, Ms. Farmer, as the city attorney, did a lot of educating of the county commissioners as to the process. But given that people are elected and then not elected, and you know, there are 3 commissioners that you know, have served a long time, and who knows how much longer they will serve. So that if we don't have a written plan, will this happen again? I mean, I know that the process is there in the law books. But if you don't follow the process from the very beginning, it could just happen again.
Right. Well, they have a process they're supposed to follow as well, not just in the law, their own process.
Any other questions for our attorney? Anything, Ms. Farmer? Okay, on to our planning board. Don Hand.
We attempted to have a planning board meeting, but we didn't get a quorum, so we had to recess that. We'll give it another shot coming up.
Okay, on zoning commission.
No meeting, no report.
Director of operation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We're off and running with a lot of different activities going on. But probably the most important thing is, and I don't think it was brought up at the last meeting, apologize for not being here for different reasons, but Glenn Morenz retired as our bus driver, approximately 6 years of service, and did an excellent job. Committee appreciating the stories he could tell. They told him he should write a book. I think Toenail Day was his favorite one. But no, great appreciation for him. And he did great, thanks for him, as I say. But we have a great new one. Mark Hatfield has accepted the position and is, I've already heard great things about him. So shout out to Glenn and congratulations to Mark and his future. But no, I did, project-wise, we're getting the dirt patcher Friday. So Tuesday morning we'll be out starting the dirt patch coming down Park Street. And then we have the rejuvenators been out doing their thing. Guys are weed eating around different spots. We had great plans for the sweeper, but found out that we have some mechanical issues with that, and there's a part we have to order and it's 10 days out. We can run it, but the issue is we'd probably have to refill with oil every day, and we'd leave a trail through town. So it's, got some issues there, so.
Dust suppression.
Yeah.
And we do have a reserve for a sweeper, so it's probably next couple of years, take a serious look at getting a new sweeper with funds from that reserve. It's over 40 years old, so it's been a good beast. Be happy to answer any questions.
I know I was asked by the public too what the street department's actually been doing, so it's nice to have an update. They don't seem to see the street crew out doing it. You see the water crew running all over town. And you see the cemetery folks on occasion, but you don't see the street people doing anything. That's what was catching the heat.
And so no, they've been doing patches and then kind of odd jobs here and there. They finished up Swenson Way. We're out there for a couple of days. The post, clearing that out. They've been active.
Why is the city street crew doing that?
Just one of those things, the agreement with the downtown group and the tree board, and just to clean out that rock area in the entrance.
Shouldn't that be the parks, not the street?
Well, we only have one parks guy, and he was trying to get the parks ready to go, so. And then also the street guys know how to do the backhoe and all that stuff. So equipment-wise, they're the more knowledgeable ones. So.
Mr. Ham, that happened in April, and it was the street crew has done that for the last 4 years. This is the 4th year.
We're talking about where the stand, where the sign is.
And they cleaned all of that out. But on the other side of the street, they pulled out the old trees and the overgrown shrubs in the boulevard. And that had to be done mechanically. I mean, they had to do that with backhoes and stuff.
I just didn't see around the sign where that was something the city of Dillon should have been having their street crew do. That's why I was curious. I would think the downtown folks would take care of their own sign.
Yeah, there is, that we call that the triangle, and the triangle was infested and way overgrown, and there was a lot of the cleanup, and that had to be done mechanically also. So, you know, hopefully it'll be all done, it will be completed this year. All we have left to do is the pavers, the red pavers, to the end of where it hits the interstate. And hopefully now both the tree board and the downtown crew can keep all of that cleaned out and upkept. But the maintenance on that was impossible. It was...
I'm not disagreeing with you.
Yeah, it was just, when it was planted, people used the best knowledge that was available at the time. Unfortunately, things grew a lot more than we expected them to grow.
So, Mr. Hazelbig, where do we take those wages out of? Is that out of street and alley, or did that come out of parks?
Well, it'd be out of the street and alleys.
Is that an appropriate expenditure of street and alley funds? I think you're blurring budget lines here is why I'm asking. I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
No, I understand that, but the way we operate around here, we have a lot of times where street and alley helps the parks, parks helps the water department, so to be honest with you, we blurred a lot.
But that gives you a false view.
By doing different projects.
But that gives you a false view of what these projects are costing.
Now, if you look
Okay,
in the
but
budget, this is under
if we
the
get
tree board.
into that type of stuff, then street and alley people just do street and alley projects. There's no crossover. And then you do parks, just does parks. And then,
You can cross them over as long as you take it out of the right account, the wages, is what I'm saying.
but, okay, yeah, we could do that, but I think that would be a bookkeeping nightmare.
No, it's very simple. Most industries do it that way.
No, and Mr. Hand,
Okay.
this wasn't done from the parks. This was done through the tree board, and if you look in
He's-
the budget,
I'm talking the sign, not Swenson Way. They're
both
two
happened
different
at the
things,
same
aren't they?
time. Pardon?
They're two different things, aren't they?
Well, it's all one project. It's all one project.
The sign was done because somebody ran through it, right?
And the cost of the sign, the cost of the new sign was picked up by the downtown group.
Should have been picked up by his car insurance.
And I believe some of it was.
It just seems like we're subsidizing a lot of things we shouldn't be, that's why I was curious.
And I'll be honest with you, sometimes I may cross the line in it. I'm into the good neighbor thing.
Yeah.
We help them, they help us.
But we've got a bunch of potholes out there that people are chewing the hell out of me for. That's why I'm
You
concerned.
think you're getting chewed on?
I
But yeah,
know
we
we're
understand
getting
that.
down.
But we're also waiting for the dirt patch to get here to do them right.
You can't fix them with the dirt patching, you gotta send the paver out, or you gotta send the recycler out, especially those on Park Street, they're 6 inches deep. The dirt patcher doesn't do those,
Okay?
not that it'll stay in. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, is maybe we're not shipping our resources around in a effective manner. That's all I'm asking for you to consider.
Okay?
Thank you.
Any more questions?
The tree board would like to thank Mr. Hazelbaker and the street crew for all the work they've done on that project. It looks great. It absolutely looks fantastic.
Thank you.
Okay.
Wasn't that crappy of a conversation? Gee.
Okay, let's go there. What's the update on the splash pad?
Update the splash pad. Okay. Phillips Concrete has been pouring cement on the inner part of it. It's a nice blue river. Didn't see any fish painted in yet, but they're doing that. We are aiming for July 1st. As of now, it's a safety issue. I know a lot of people say, yeah, we can get kids in there, but as you can see, it's carved around the outside, and the last thing we need is little kids running along, tripping, breaking a leg, whatever, falling in. And with the splash pad itself, if I could, I probably would have done myself, and my feet are dirty, I've been playing in the dirt, I'm gonna run into the splash pad, wash my feet off, all that mud gets down in the system, and we have bigger problems than we want then. So, yes, I appreciate the patience of the community. It's been hard.
Very hard. I know as the volunteers, we get a lot of phone calls
Yeah.
every Saturday. I'm like, please come down.
And
We all look at this picture through Facebook, no offense, Mr. Jeremy, and we all comment. Drive down there. You can see the construction. You can see the mishap. Especially 2 weeks ago when you saw R.E. Miller's equipment and the pavement was not even poured, and we're reflecting phone calls. No ma'am, no ma'am, be positive. Come down, maybe help out. Bring the guy some water, help clean it. We're so busy to lash out and become negative Karens, I got it right finally, that we don't step up and help out. I mean, I'm grateful because I have a couple free weekends as a volunteer that does it for free. And same with Regina. But yeah, folks, so that's why I wanted to hear it from the city standpoint, because now it seems like this entity is done and they're blaming this entity, and I'm like, folks, let's just hear it from the horse's mouth.
so what are you calling me, an ass?
A seahorse ass. There we go.
But no, that's what we.
I knew the answer. I just
I
wanted
know,
to come from
yeah,
between the
no,
two
I
guys.
appreciate that. No, and I
So thank you.
appreciate the comments.
How far are the JCs from having sidewalks done? Have you heard?
Because I'm not gonna give you a timeline. I can't.
They were putting
The other forms in,
the forms were being put in today, so.
yeah, within the inner side of, the inner part of the park, the forms are in. But that's one of those, fingers crossed, they get it done as soon as they can. And again, it's a lot of, like, the weather has played an issue with some of it. But,
Raindrop patterns and sidewalks don't work very good.
yeah.
Any other questions for our Director of Operations? Okay, Police Department, Police Chief Jeremy Alvarez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In your guys' packet, you guys will find the activity report for May of 2022. You're gonna notice it looks a little different than the ones in the past. We had got a new report management system, and there's about 52 million different ways to print a report. And I found this one, and
Move to approve.
Second.
Been moved by Mary Jo, seconded by Russ to accept the police department report.
Mr. Mayor, I really like the, I think this is a vast improvement in terms of reporting. I wanted to compliment the new chief on this report. There was just a couple of things so I can understand it better in the future. If we looked at, let's look at May 2nd. And there is a traffic complaint, a hit and run accident, and a parking problem. Are those three connected in any way, or are they separate incidents?
the way our new system works is every traffic complaint is individual and every accident is individual. So every one of these natures that you guys see on here, so the traffic complaint, there was 2 separate ones that day. There was a hit and run that day and then a different parking problem. So every one of those is a separate nature.
Okay,
Yes.
great. So the hit and run was not one of the traffic complaints.
Correct.
The other, I noticed a couple of things. I noticed that you had 2 unattended deaths in one day.
Correct.
Is that a lot for Dillon?
It could, we've seen up to 4 before, but it just, it's, when it's people's time, it just, we don't, like, really interesting thing about these reports is I can't create, I could create some of these, like traffic stops, being proactive. The things I can't create is an unattended death. I can't create that, and the other officers can't either. You know, so half of it's being proactive and the other half is just letting people call in and us responding.
I just wondered if that was unusual for Dillon.
Sometimes it is and sometimes it's not.
The other thing I noticed is that 6.8% of your calls were animal complaint or dog bite or whatever. They had something to do with an animal. And within a city budget, we budget, I think, approximately $20,000, $22,000 for an animal complaint officer. I know he's new and he's really trying hard to, because he does, half of his job is animal complaints and half of it's parks. Do you see any crossover with that, or are you two working with each other, or will you folks be, will there be some alleviation of animal complaint things?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Our animal control officer, Jason, is fantastic, and anytime we can utilize him, we attempt to. Just he's not available on those after-hour calls typically. Sometimes he is, which is great, and sometimes he isn't. But some of these animal control issues that we have is anytime there's an animal bite, law enforcement has to respond as per the county code for safety, and then we have to provide that report to them for rabies, etc. So we have a big protocol there in regards to the public safety, in regards to rabies. So we try to utilize Jason as much as we can, and Todd has been great about it, and so has the mayor. Okay, we got this issue with the dog, and Jason's there.
That really helps.
Some of your abbreviations in there I'm not familiar with. One of them is CAD. What does that mean?
Which day was that?
That would be like, the first time I see it showing up, it was 5/4/22, top of the second page.
Oh, is it CAD?
Mm-hmm.
So that would be a miscellaneous CAD call. So that would be a CAD call. the way the report management system lists it is a CAD call is something that comes from dispatch, and that would be dispatched. So we're all human and they make mistakes. If they misappropriate that, it could have been an unwanted person, or it could have been a traffic complaint. If that doesn't get coded the right way, then we have a miscellaneous CAD call. Or it could just be somebody calling asking a miscellaneous question. It could be something as that simple. Hey, I'm new to town and I want to know what your regulation is on vehicle registration. We don't necessarily have something to code that to, so it would be a miscellaneous CAD call. Maybe they could have put it as information, but it'd be more along those lines.
So CAD call's kind of a catch-all, like your favorite kitchen drawer.
Very, very similar to that, yes.
And I assume that the AMB is ambulance? this is?
Ambulance, correct.
And then the BCSO is Beaver Head County
Search and rescue.
GCSO is Beaver County Sheriff,
Sheriff.
correct.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I also noted, Chief, that I think almost 8% of your calls are welfare checks. So you're doing welfare checks 5 out of 7 days, right?
We do a lot of welfare checks,
Yeah.
yes. And with this report management system, I could actually run a report, and I may do that next time. One for the month, and I'll do one for half the year. And I could do it it's about a 3-page report, but it has every one of these natures listed, and then that way you could see it. It'll have a total right next to it, and you guys could see how many calls we've been to roughly for 6 months, and then for that month. So I could provide that for you guys next month too. I just found it after the fact. I was like, oh man, I can't get this one in.
Thank you for this great report.
You're welcome.
Call for the question.
Question's been called for to accept the report from the Dillon Police Department. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Report passes unanimously. On to our fire department, Assistant Chief Huckey.
In your packet, you'll find our reports and our expenditures. I ask the council to approve those, please.
Move to approve.
Second.
Been moved to approve by Russ, seconded by Diane, to accept the activity report, the clerk's report of the fire hall, and the budget versus expenditure for the fire hall.
Call for the question?
Question's been called for to accept the May 2022 activity report, the city clerk report on the fire hall, and the budget versus actual of the fire hall. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Passes unanimously. Any other questions for our fire chief or assistant fire chief?
I was glad to see that you guys got a little bit of a break this month compared to the previous months.
Me too.
Our city clerk's not here. Our treasurers asked to be excused. Tree board, Mary Jo O'Rourke.
We do not meet formally during the summer because we're doing so many work projects. I hope everybody will take a drive down Swenson Way and you'll notice how beautiful that is. It's come out just absolutely lovely. And you just have to finish up the pavers. We're at that point where the boulevard goes below 36 inches. And so if we were to put grass in there and put the sprinkler system in, the sprinkler would just shoot over the boulevard. So we're just gonna fill in that portion of the boulevard. You'll see where it ends to where it hooks in to the interstate entrance. We'll finish that with red pavers. And the city has pavers already, and we'll use the pavers they have left over, and then we'll have to augment a little bit, but not much. So that'll be kind of a labor-intensive part of the project. We've also done a bunch of work out at the cemetery. We are, I say we loosely, it is the dedicated members of the tree board, not me. But the dedicated members of the tree board have also been working on our video. We do expect that to be completed by the next meeting. Certainly by the end of July, the latest. And we'll bring it in and show it to everyone.
And what will that video?
What is that video?
I mean, what's it gonna be about?
The video is a 5 to 6 minute video, and it talks about what the tree board is, when it was created, under what ordinances it was created, what exactly we are by law asked to do, which is to create an urban forest plan, and then to do a survey of all trees, which we have done, and then to maintain the present urban forest and expand that forest. And we have expanded that forest by, we're almost up to 400 trees that have been planted through 3 different programs, and it'll talk about those 3 different programs. So it'll talk about the tree board, what it does, what it has accomplished, and it will invite people at the very end to join us, join the tree board, either with their muscle or with their checkbook. And it will be an easy way for members of the tree board to take that little video to different groups, whether it be Rotary or Kiwanis or Hospital Board or whatever, to take it and in a very clear and concise and artistic way show the public what we do. And it was funded by a grant through the state.
What's your report?
That completes my report.
Any other questions for tree board?
Thank you for the question.
Okay, on to the reports of standing committees of the City Council, the Judiciary Committee, Diane Nye.
No meeting, no report. We will have a meeting Tuesday, next Tuesday.
Finance Committee, Don Hand.
No meeting, no report. Candy, when did you want to do bills this month? Because we took the last Thursday of the month is the 31st. But I figured that was a little too tight for you, so we need to go the week before.
Yeah, I think we ran into this before, but
This is one of those odd months where we have
I think we're
3
gonna,
main weeks.
I think we're gonna be okay going the week before.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we're gonna be okay. Unless you wanna do it on,
No, it's not.
no, let's not.
I know what you're thinking.
So you want to do it the week before?
You know, yeah,
That would be about your normal rotation is what I'm thinking.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I think that would be okay.
So instead of the last Thursday, will be the second to the last Thursday of the month, we'll have our meeting and go over bills of the city.
Then I asked to be excused for that meeting.
Are you off tumbling again?
In school, yeah. I'll be in school.
Okay. Dan, you can be around?
Yeah, but you better remind me so I don't miss any meeting. I didn't know, I had no idea about the planning board meeting. Sitting there, well, we had a meeting, we were all there.
That's true, we did. Well, same thing. I didn't see any minutes from it.
No, that's why I was wondering, did I miss a meeting? Because everybody was there.
I think there's a meeting in the ozone someplace here. We'll research it for next time. I think you're right. Anyway, that completes my report of finance.
Okay, Fire and Order Committee, George Johnston.
No meeting, no report.
Health and Welfare, Diane Armstrong.
No meeting, no report.
Cemetery Committee, Joe Brandon.
No meeting, no report.
Parks Committee, Mary Jo O'Rourke.
No meeting, no report.
City Hall Committee, Remy Graham.
No meeting, no report, but I think we need to schedule a meeting for this coming Thursday because I believe, I understand, we might have to put bids out again for a new bid on the roof. If I'm hearing that correctly. So maybe if you would do an agenda for next Thursday, 4 o'clock, and we'll have the call for bid or whatever you call it for the roof.
Did that just go, it timed out?
I think it just timed out was the issue with that.
Yeah, and the guy that put in the bid was awarded the bid. Won't return my calls or forward in any information to me.
Oh.
So we'll see if we get somebody local to do it.
I think, and it was kind of kept putting
Well,
back
we-
because you were looking at the
We
insurance
was waiting for
company.
the insurance to do something, when the insurance do something, and the contractor didn't, or
Yeah.
it was just one of those.
Yeah, the
things.
insurance is ready to go, but it's just,
Yeah, so, anyway.
So the
we will-
insurance is gonna cover it.
Well, they'll, part of it, I don't think
Yeah.
they'll cover it all, but. So anyway, we will get a new bid out there and hopefully get a new roof before it blows off at the third time.
Street,
how would you code that one? Roofing it in midair.
Street and Alley Committee, Dan Nye.
Before you, you have the minutes from June 6th. Ask for your approval.
Move to approve.
Second.
Been moved by Russ, seconded by Don. Corrections, comments, questions?
On the very last page, Mr. Swank is an extremely valuable member of the committee, but I don't believe he had moved to adjourn and then seconded.
Oh, we're good.
Alter ego, buddy.
Oh, I think he could do that.
He can jump from chair to chair, I guess, but. He was in a hurry.
There was. There was a late meeting.
So the motion is just to approve these minutes, correct?
Correct.
That's correct.
So who do we write down seconded the call for adjournment?
Probably have to listen. I think Don did. Listen to the audio and make double sure.
So Councilperson
I'll just give it to Sylvia
Hand.
and have her listen to it. Or check her notes.
And I guess the only thing I'll point out on behalf of the Trails Coalition, Section 5, we truly did make a recommendation that we truly do support the Trails Coalition. I think that needs to be noted for their grant writing progress. It's not an action item, but at least that way verbally, I just put it into the minutes so they can use that for grant writing.
Say that again.
Truly that we do support the Trails Coalition.
Did the city write a letter of support for the Trails Coalition?
Not for the grant writing process, no, not
We
yet.
wrote one for that section of ground they bought up on by the,
Yeah.
on the hill.
If they come back to the city for another letter of support, would the city be willing to do that?
More than likely, yeah.
Okay. I'll wait for the next.
Okay, the question's been called for by Raymond to accept the minutes or approve the minutes of the Street and Alley Committee. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Minutes pass unanimously.
And I guess the other thing is the Normal Street Bridge. We all voted to close it because the condition that it's in, so that somebody doesn't get hurt. And so we aren't liable, basically. I've looked at it, several of us have looked at it. Another gentleman that's an engineer for the Forest Service looked at it, and he recommends that it be closed and removed, and/or removed.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
in an attempt to avoid possible litigation in the future, I move to reopen the walking bridge and remove the dangerous concrete barriers that the city has placed at the bridge until such time as the city provides, number one, a written legal opinion enumerating and describing the process for closing bridges, roads, and other infrastructure, and number two, a written professional engineering report, which number one outlines the present condition of the walking bridge, number two outlines the structural deficiencies of the walking bridge, number three reports the useful life of the present walking bridge, number four options for replacing the bridge, including cost estimates, and number five other pertinent engineering recommendations for the walking bridge. Right now, so that is my motion.
Just a real quick correction though, we don't have cement blocks up. We have fence around it. We have chain link fence around it.
There is, right now, there are
If there's cement blocks around it, we did not put them there.
the blockades that are there that block both sides of the bridge are dangerous. There are, the most dangerous part of that area is the sidewalk. And the sidewalk that is boundaries that area for a half a block on either side. And there are several pieces of that sidewalk that have jumped up, butted up, and they have been, one of them has been placed in front of the bridge, and that needs to be removed. But I don't care. I have a motion on the table to have a, we have closed that bridge. I've received more than 30 phone calls, emails, and text messages from people who live not only in the area, but who live across the tracks, who regularly use that bridge. And there is a process, we have a process by which we go through to close pieces of infrastructure, and they include getting engineering reports and there are other steps that need to be gone through. But I'm not going to enumerate that. I think we have an attorney who can do that.
There's a motion to reopen Normal Street Bridge.
I'll second the motion.
Second, any other comments about it?
Well, evidently, even in '81, they said that there were problems with the bridge.
That's what it is after we had our street and alley committee, we were in there visiting, and I was talking about it. Sam got on the computer, our clerk up there, and pumped up, and hey, look at here, and she showed me that article, and oh, that's cool, and I left. Okay, yeah. It's been a problem. I came back the next day, and I said, we need to get it and put it in the council packet, because it's been 40 years. People's known there's the problem with the bridge. So we reopen it tomorrow. Tomorrow afternoon, someone falls off of it. MMIA is not going to cover us. So we're going to go to the taxpayers and say, hey, pay up. We have a lawsuit against us that we knew it was hazard. We reopened it.
We have a process by law that we go through when we close, when we decide we're going to close. different portions of our infrastructure, and we need to go through that process the way it is written. I'm not going to outline that process. We have an attorney to do that, but I think that it behooves us as a city council to not just decide to close something because we think we should. We need to go through the correct process, and we need to get a professional engineer to look at that bridge and give us a written professional report.
If something is an immediate hazard, we do need to close it off. That process can be started, but you don't leave a hazard open while you're going through the slow process of permanently closing it. If something is an immediate hazard, it needs to be addressed.
There are more than, I think that part of the process will be a hearing, and there are more than 50 people who use that bridge at least twice a day, and they have used it for several years, and they continue to use it today. I guess I don't...
Don't we have the
we
responsibility to keep them safe?
Yes,
We
we
do.
do. Can you please provide me with, I would like a copy of all these text messages, letters. You want me to, you're telling me it's an emergency, you're telling me that people have to use this bridge. You need to provide me that information.
No, I think the city needs to go through the correct process to close
And the process can be gone through to close it permanently, but if it's an immediate hazard, we have a duty to make sure that it is not being used.
Who defined it an immediate hazard?
There were several people, there's been plenty of meetings, we've discussed this over and over.
Engineers, teachers.
We've had two
Who
engineers
decided?
who stepped up and said it.
Yes.
Who did?
We've had two different engineers.
Where's the written report
They
though?
didn't provide the written reports because we didn't want to spend the money to do it. Now,
Then
do you
it's-
really want to go through all this process and spend all this money
Yes.
rather than put the money back into a new bridge?
I do. And I think that we don't have the right to just decide to close things.
Yes, we do.
Are these people stranded because the bridge is closed?
No.
Yes or no?
Yes.
They're
No.
stranded.
Well,
Okay,
they
thank you.
have to change the way they're getting to the school. But, I mean, would you appreciate that if somebody just closed your access to?
Do you know how far I have to walk to get to the district
It's
courthouse?
close right there.
Guess what? I'm not complaining about it. I walk in high heels down the street, and when I see one closed, I keep going down another street, and then I keep going. And you know what? I come back a different route, and it changes every day. But you know what? I don't sit and get angry at anyone about it. And I've walked there in the rain, I've walked there. So I don't understand saying that this is a necessity to people when you just said they can find another way. Nobody's stranded there. It's a danger, it's a hazard. We've had several people look at it, trusted people, look at the bridge and tell us that this is a good decision. We can go through the process for permanent, but when something is an immediate threat, then I'm going to suggest it be addressed.
Yeah, you are right now negotiating with the county because the process for a subdivision, that process was not followed.
The city followed the process. It's the county that did not follow the process.
Okay, what I'm saying here
Public
is
safety
that,
should be their number one concern.
and I think we need an engineering report to say that. We don't have an engineering report that says that. It's been used on a daily basis.
Haven't you already admitted that it's a safety issue by addressing the sidewalks?
I think the sidewalks are an incredible
And that's the
safety
approach
issue.
to the bridge.
No, the
77
the
safety as well.
sidewalks are going north and south. The sidewalks are going, the
bridge goes
bridge
east
goes
and west.
east and west.
And those sidewalks are horrible too. There's at least a 12-inch rise on this side of it.
Probably the greatest threat to injury is the sidewalks going north and south.
Well, my understanding is
Liability
Mr.
not
Watson's
safe.
repairing those.
Pardon?
My understanding, those sidewalks were torn out last week and being replaced.
They
Mr.
weren't-
Watson.
They weren't torn out as of tonight. But anyway, my motion is to ask the city to follow the process, and that we, number one, we reopen the bridge until we have a legal opinion enumerating and describing the process for closing bridges, roads, and other infrastructure. And number two, a written professional engineering report which outlines the present condition of the walking bridge, outlines the structural deficiencies of the walking bridge, postulates the useful life of the present walking bridge, gives us options for replacing the bridge, including cost estimates, and number five, other pertinent engineering recommendations for the walking bridge. There may be simple things that can be done to give us 10 more years or 15 more years with that bridge. We don't know until we have a professional report.
Professional
Engineering
opinions by
report.
professional engineers say it needs to be closed. These are structural engineers that do bridges.
Where's the written report, Don?
They didn't provide that because they didn't want.
Then we don't
You're
have.
looking at a $60,000 bill.
Yeah.
And then we still got to close the bridge, we got to tear the bridge out. So you still don't have a way across, and you spent $60,000 to fluff up somebody. That doesn't work.
Where do you get the $60,000?
What do you think an engineering study's gonna set you back by itself?
I don't know. We need to submit.
$45,000 to $50,000.
Don, you're
Well,
just
that's
pulling you pull those numbers out of the sky.
I pulled out of past history, yes.
Now,
You
My
know,
motion-
Your motion is there, and that's fine. I'm
Okay.
just saying it's not worth spending the money that way, I don't believe.
We have a motion on the table to reopen Normal Street Bridge and pursue until we have a
and I have it written. down. I can
engineered
give it-
proposal to close it, and it was seconded. So, all in favor of reopening Normal Street Bridge, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Say same sign.
Aye.
Let's do a roll call vote. Don Hand,
Aye. Or close it.
close it.
Then that would be nay.
Nay, that'd be nay, yes.
Diane Armstrong.
Nay.
Russ Swan.
Nay.
Dan Nye.
Nay.
Joe Brandon.
Nay.
Raymond Graham.
Nay.
George Johnston.
Aye.
Mary Jo O'Rourke.
Aye.
Okay. Been defeated 6-2. That the bridge will stay closed, and we'll have our attorney look at if we need to reopen it and proper to pull it out if it's not safe.
Well, I think the only way we should be able to reopen that bridge now that we've all determined that it was a safety hazard is to have an engineer or somebody look at it and sign off and say, yes, it is a safe bridge. And until such time as an engineer says it's safe to open that bridge again, I think we need to err on the side of caution because that's just the way the insurance company would like us to do.
We had a bridge that went across the canal by Western years ago. It was 10, 15 years ago. It was a sticky, icky mess. And that just came to mind. Sidewalks, instead of ripping them out. Have you heard about leveling sidewalks? As opposed to pouring a new sidewalk, it's a much cheaper alternative.
We would be.
Yeah, we've been doing that on campus, and we could save a lot of money, and it's quick. So it's newer technology.
It doesn't work with tree roots underneath them, though, Joe.
Yeah, you know, we
Just
can
keep the tree root out.
Yeah, yeah. Pouring concrete.
But if the sidewalks down there is in that condition, we ought to maybe get a letter together and mail to the property owners and have them replace the sidewalks if it's in that kind of
It's
shape.
their responsibility.
It is property owner's responsibility to replace sidewalks.
But the sidewalk going to the bridge on either side is our responsibility, not theirs.
If it's
That's
And
in
that
the
is
right
in
of way.
pretty good condition. That's in pretty good condition. It's the sidewalks that are going north and south that are in
Are you
terrible.
telling me there's lifts of almost 4 inches from the concrete broke up and swayed up.
I agree.
And you're saying that's safer than the other ones?
Then the north and south. The north and south one has holes in it where you could step in and drop 18 inches, Dan.
I think you better get your
No
bearings.
skateboarding for you.
We'll go look at it, and if the sidewalk's in front of the residents, but a lot of that bridge place is city street. So we own the ground behind it, so it's our responsibility to replace the concrete if it's across the city street.
If they're in that bad of shape, we need to replace
Yeah,
it.
we'll look at it.
And that's, again, we need to lead by example.
Yeah, we'll look at them and see what we need to do. Any other comments for Street and Alley Committee?
I'm done.
Okay. On to the Water and Sewer Committee, Donann.
No meeting, no report, due to, we didn't get the meeting agenda out soon enough due to a computer glitch. So hopefully we'll reschedule that here as soon as we can get that rolling again. I have a little question.
The agenda was posted, it just didn't get sent out on the computer.
Yeah, so I guess perhaps we ought to have judicial take a look at what's required to do a proper posting.
I have a question for the water and sewer too. I received a phone call the other day about the condition of the lagoon. It's got some pretty bad aroma coming out of there. The gentleman called the state, who said that there should not be that kind of
Raymond,
aroma
they
coming
can't hear
out.
you over here.
I'm sorry. The gentleman called the state DEQ and he said that there should not be the aroma coming out of the lagoon this time of year that's coming out of the lagoon this time of year. He seemed to think, the guy, and I don't have the guy's name, but it's not relevant, I guess, right now. He seems to think that there might be an operating error or something going on with the lagoon. And he said they have a guy that would gladly come down and help look at that, if that is in fact the issue. Or if it's not the issue, I don't know what it is, but I said I would bring it up and ask the water and sewer department to look at it, maybe question Jason and see just what is causing it, if it's something that can be fixed, or maybe it's just the changing all the water, all the rain, or what.
That usually happens this time of year because the pond flips upside down.
This has been going on
It's
for a
been
month.
going on for years.
I can address all your questions. This is one of the reasons why I really love my job some days. This is a prime example. I received a phone call from the same gentleman, told me that he did call DEQ. That day I visited with Jason, and Jason and I went through the various options of what they've done in the past. And one thing is that we have the USS Minnow, we get the boat out there with the propeller on it, and we can go around and dig it up, which they did. And they also threw out packages of raspberry smelling stuff. One of those type things. And that did help. One of the situations is that when you take the boat, as Mr. Hand says, it sort of switches, the bottom rises to the top. But what is also terribly discouraging with my job is that the gentleman from DEQ calls Jason, they visit about it, and the guy who Jason talked to said, we're doing the best we can and there isn't really anything else we can do. So you're getting a story from a guy from DEQ. Our guy is getting a different story from DEQ, is that he thinks that we're doing what we can with the system that we have. So yes, we have looked at the situation and have made the efforts to take care of that. And Jason's still looking at it every day. In fact, he talks about if I've been by it or not. So yes, we have addressed the problem, but it seems that we get DEQs telling us two stories.
There's no easy solution, basically. That gentleman called you again, tell him that.
But I'll visit again with Jason and I can bring Jason in, he'll tell you.
Maybe we can put some tidy bowl in it.
Evidently, the aroma's been going on though for over a month, and this isn't usually the time of year that the flipping over happens.
Yeah, and it's one of the concerns that they're getting the smell now. What's it gonna be like when it gets 90 degrees, and that was what the gentleman was concerned about, so. We're on, basically, let's say on top of it, and not too bad.
Depends on which way the wind blows.
Yeah. And, yeah, that's one of those, when you live next door to that type of facility, yes, you are gonna get, and we're doing, and we're aware of that, we're trying to do the best we can.
Well, anyway, I told him I would bring it up and ask, so.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Anyway, that completes my report.
Okay, ARPA Committee, Russ Long.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. No meeting, no report, but tentatively we're shooting for June 23rd at 7, contingent upon funds.
Did we get, or did you get the minutes for the tablets for the city council?
Yep, I found them and they'll be put in the ARPA Committee meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for ARPA?
I just have a quick one.
Yes.
On our body cams that were approved, thank you, they are about 8 months out. How much time do we have to use that one?
2 years.
2026.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, more. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, any others?
Instant collapse.
Okay, the next item, public comment of items of significant public interest, not on the agenda, but within the jurisdiction of the city. First of all, got a letter from bookstore lady, Debbie's 4-H. And I'm gonna have Diane Armstrong read it. I read like a math teacher, so it's painful to hear me read, so I'll have Diane Armstrong read the letter to the...
Okay. Dear Mayor McGinley, City Council members, and Todd Hazelbaker, I am sorry that I am unable to be here this evening. There are things that I would like to address. First, I want you to understand that I know we need the new water lines. I know that our infrastructure is old and that there are delays and surprises beneath our streets. There are also things I don't understand. Why has the block in front of my store been closed for 2 months? Why, when this block is closed, is there no access through our alley? Why were we told in a meeting that there would be updates, there would be people walking in our businesses explaining what was happening and what would happen? Why has this not happened? Why has there been little communication with businesses? Explain to us why areas are packed and then dug up in front of City Hall. Explain to us that if there is a problem, explain to us the delays so that we understand and know how to proceed. With the maze of torn up streets, our customers are as confused as we are. I am doing home deliveries and I am meeting customers away from my store, but you need to know that people that need the assistance of canes, walkers, and oxygen don't have the luxury of parking blocks away and walking to us. We were told by Mr. Shumway that his crew will help people if they see them struggling. He told us his crew will carry stuff to cars if they see a need. He told me that they would put boxes of books in their buckets and set them at my door. We were told a lot of things that to date have not happened. I'm trying to remain positive. I am trying to put up a good front and tell people it is inconvenient now, but in the end, that positive attitude is becoming harder to maintain. I have been doing regular Facebook posts letting customers know the best way to get to us. I am talking to my customers, letting them know we are here, letting them know how much all the businesses need support. My business has been operating for 39 years with me as the owner for 31. I love living here, I love Dillon, but what is happening right now is making it hard for me to operate my business. I know to expect slow days and loss of revenue, but with the block closed for 8 weeks already and with no end date in sight, there's only so much I can do. We have Josh from Stage Line Pizza doing a fundraiser for our businesses. It shouldn't be this way. After 2 years of COVID, we were starting to come up for air. Looking forward to the summer season. We had events planned, celebrations of all that Dillon has to offer, and right now it feels like we are alone. I look forward to hearing from you. Sincerely, Debbie Sporch.
Does any of the other business owners want to
Absolutely.
make some comments?
Is this on?
No, you just hold the button down.
There we go.
Yep.
Everybody hear me all right? Okay, my name is Ron Carroll,
I'm here on behalf of my business, Emporium 406. It's a limited liability company, just 50 yards away. Our block has been shut down for 8 weeks. It has had a devastating effect on my business, on the other 7 businesses that are all within 100 feet of each other. A couple of the other individuals that own businesses are here as well. It's time to take action. We cannot allow this to continue. I'm fed up. I've had enough. I've lost thousands of dollars, and I cannot afford to lose thousands more. So please understand that message. Since April, I've had 2 meetings with Mungus Construction, the engineers, Mayor McGinley, Mr. Hazelbaker. Yesterday, I had another meeting with Mayor McGinley and asked him to coordinate a 3rd meeting with Mungus, with the engineer, with himself, Mr. Hazelbaker. The conversation I had with Mayor McGinley yesterday was very uncomfortable. Like Mr. Hazelbaker, Mr. McGinley and I go back 50 years. We're not only community members, but we're friends. But this goes beyond friendship. This is our business, it's our livelihood that we're talking about. And I hope that you all understand that. There are 8 businesses all within 100 feet of each other, and we have been blocked for 8 weeks. Not 1 square inch of that street has been torn up, just the intersection. So we've had street closed signs, and if you don't think that that has had an impact on us, you're sorely mistaken. So I hope that that's the message that you understand here as a council body. We cannot let this continue. We just can't. It's time to take action. I don't know how much longer this can go. We've already lost 1 business. I don't want to see any more businesses be lost. We just can't afford that. Has any one of you read the contract that was signed in March of 2021? Have you?
Yeah.
Okay, I've spent the last 2 days reviewing it myself. I believe that the construction company is already working outside of that contract. That contract states they have 60 days from Helena Street to Seabury Street. They are already outside of that. They've already breached that contract. I'm asking you as a city council, Mr. McGinley, Mayor McGinley, to take action. Let's get this thing turned around. Let's either get them to tear this street up, or let's open the street back up. One of the 2. Because I don't want to be sitting here for another 8 weeks and coming here again. Frankly, I don't think my business will last that long, okay? That's the point that we're at. And I cannot emphasize that I'm angry. I'm way beyond concerned or frustrated. As a business owner who tries to do good things within our community and for our community through Emporium 406, like the other businesses here, I'm tired of it. And I've watched the live streams, I've been at meetings, I've asked for special meetings that I should not have to ask for. Every time I close my doors to come to a meeting, I lose that 1 or 2 potential customers that I might get that day. I'm done doing that. So I'm asking you as a council body, Mr. Mayor as well, to apply whatever pressure you can within the confines of what your authority is. If we've got to have one final meeting with the construction company, with the engineer, I was hoping Kevin would be here tonight to give another update, but unfortunately he's not. We've got to get this thing turned around. We can't go another week. Does anybody have any questions for me?
I do, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Carroll, you would like us to ask the contractor and the engineers to open the street tomorrow morning, or to open that street up, get the new water and sewer lines, open that seam up and close it in the next 7 days.
That contract states they're to work from Helena Street south to Seabury. They have not done that. Why?
There was an addition to the contract, a change made, and they decided to work from this.
They decided. They decided. That's the key point.
In
Let's
conjunction with
stop
the city.
letting them decide. Let's take back our community and let's get this thing opened back up. That's what I'm saying.
So what would you like us to do?
I want them to do what they said they were going to do, and I want them to either tear that street up or move those barriers back to this intersection. Let's open that street up. There's no need for them to have that barrier down on that end of the block. None whatsoever.
Actually, Mr. Carroll, there is. There's national code that says where they have to put up barriers in a case like this. I asked that too at a prior meeting. And they said, no, they have to sediment that block apart in order to meet code, so their insurance covers them.
What about the 6-foot deep hole they have on the next street over with nothing around it? But a dirt pile warning you.
Yeah, they should have that protected.
Well, they
somehow.
should, but that's the problem. That's what we're trying to say. We were told by the engineer, well, first we were told by Kip, we're gonna cut this road open and in 2 weeks we'll have it tore open, we'll have it gravelled. Next week we're gonna do your road. We'll have it tore up, in 2 weeks we'll have it gravelled. 8 weeks later, we don't have shit done in front of our house or in our offices. And all the engineers, does anybody here have a scanner? Come sit downtown on your scanner and listen to what they say to the ladies getting out of the cars. They've been pissing in our streets. They have been out here talking about the women as they get in and out of their car on the radio. I can hear it on my scanner. And they have also flown down the street in that giant loader about 30 miles an hour. That's just some of the stuff that I've heard on the scanner. I've heard, you know what? Just put the pipe in the hole so we can bury and get done with this shit job. These are things I've heard on the scanner. These are the people that are working on our streets that have been lying to us as businesses. The only thing we asked was communication. Seems kind of odd as we've complained more and more. Now suddenly they're at the south end of town instead of doing what they told us they would do 8 weeks ago, which is tear up the road in front of our businesses, tear it up. We don't care, we understand, but when you put a sign up that says road closed for 8 weeks, and then 1 block over there's a hole with a dirt pile letting you know that's there, but nothing else, that makes no sense to us. No sense. I am literally paying rent on a building I cannot use through the noise, through the congestion and everything else. Honestly, if this drags on through August, I'm just gonna go back to having a home office. That'll be another empty downtown lot you guys can have, then you guys can figure out how to collect your taxes. If you put half the effort into this project that you've put on that stupid footbridge, it would be amazing. But nobody's put any effort into coming down, talking to our businesses, checking in on us, asking us how we're doing. Last time we had the meeting with the engineers, they were laughing at us. They were sitting there saying stuff and snickering to one another. And it's kind of funny because when not Kip, but the guy from Dow sat up here and asked you guys for $300,000 more, and you guys said, that's a lot of money. You guys only did half the work. And he kind of snickered and said, well, you guys got more money now. I mean, I don't know what these engineers do, but I don't see them doing anything. Now we have 2 of them down here. And one guy came into Ron's store and he said, hey, maybe you guys should have some food trucks and give out free food. That was their suggestion to us. Maybe you guys should have food trucks and give out free food. Why? So people that would never come into our business can show up for free food and we can pay for that. If you guys go down to the Little League, you're gonna see Southwestern Montana News on those jerseys. You're gonna see Emporium 406 on those jerseys. Next year, you're probably not gonna see that. I mean, Ron took in December and donated all the money he brought into his store in a day to the Denton Relief Fund. You're not gonna see that. It's sad to think about this, but like what I hear from these businesses, when the Dillon liquor store is down, there's a problem. I mean, and I talk to these businesses and I have people, they tell me, they're like, well, it doesn't affect your business, you're in the news. Ads pay they pay for what I do, ads do. And when budgets are down, first thing to go is advertising. But I mean, this is just nuts. Like what I've listened to on the scanner, what I've witnessed out front of my window, ladies from African Oasis have said that they oogle down when they walk in and out of the buildings. Guys peeing in the streets. I'd really love to ask Dow if their budget includes porta potties. Because my mom, after I told her it came over the police scanner that the cops were talking to one of them, she goes, yeah, one got out of the car and peed right in front of me the other day. My 71-year-old mother told me that. And this is what we're dealing with as businesses on top of everything else we hear. And it's just discouraging because a bridge, you put up more of a fight to have them not shut down a bridge than anybody has put out, coming out here and asking our businesses how we're faring with this. I think we've had 3 meetings in the last 2 months and all lies. That's all that they've told us are lies. But they keep asking for money. I'm still confused when Coleman Construction destroyed a piece of their equipment going under the river, why we paid them for that. If I go to a wedding and I drop my camera, I pay for that. I don't ask the wedding people to pay for that. Did we ask Coleman Construction? Because I really thought there'd be some discussion that day. Was that piece of equipment already wore out? Instead, it was just passed. And that just blew my mind. And it seems like lots of stuff you guys are passing because you guys are scared of a lawsuit. Well, I hate to say this, but if businesses go down, you're gonna have a lot of other lawsuits.
Thank you, Jeremy. I just want to make 2 more points. One is, in my store, I sell a lot of made in Montana products. So this is not only affecting and impacting myself and my community. I've got 32 made in Montana vendors, some local, most outside of Dillon, but within Montana. I can't buy their products. They rely on me to buy their products to resell. I've not been able to do that for about 6 weeks, merely because of the cash flow issue that's just not happening. 2 days ago, I wrote myself, my business, a check from my personal checking account to be able to cover some product and inventory, because I don't like letting people down. But that's not a sound business practice, as you all know. And it's not something I can continue to do. So we've got to work together. We've got to figure this out, and we've got to do it quickly, please. One of the things I discussed with Mayor McGinley yesterday is the possibility somehow of recovering some of our lost revenue. Not all of it, but some of it. Something. Councilmember Schwandt, I'm going to hopefully be on your agenda next week. I'd like to come and speak to your committee about possibility of ARPA funds for the 8 businesses that have been affected, if at all possible. I would appreciate that opportunity. Let's turn it around. I mean, I'm angry. Honestly, I'm as exhausted as you are with this thing. But we cannot let it go one more week. Let's fix this thing. It's our community. Let's turn it around. Thank you.
Mayor, didn't Kip say that he would give you a weekly update?
Yeah.
Has he done that?
He did, but they didn't this week, so it's kind of, you know, get on him, get it, and he'll do it for a week or 2, and then he falls back down on it.
Is there any way to keep the businesses apprised as to what their plans are? You know, like, this is our plan for today, this is our plan for tomorrow?
Yeah, 'cause I sent a, email out to Kevin Johnson. We're trying to get everyone together, Kip and Nick from Mungus, John and Kevin from Dow, and us to sit down and go, figure out what's going on, or why all the delays or whatever it is.
Mr. Mayor, I want to make sure that, that the folks here understand the reality of what went on. 2 years ago, I started talking about making sure that this project was done in March and April, because we knew at that time we were in the middle of COVID, and we knew how disastrous that was for downtown businesses. And we wanted to make sure that we got this project done before the summer even started. I hit a brick wall with all of those discussions. But 6 months ago, and I'll bring the minutes and show you that we talked about it would be the city that would be doing weekly updates for the businesses downtown. We even talked about creating a Facebook group that would be downtown businesses affected by the water and sewer line. And that was supposed to happen so that downtown businesses would be apprised on a weekly basis. And that was to be done through the city. So that's on us. I mean, I'm not sure, Mr. Hazelbaker or Mayor McKinley, why didn't that happen? We agreed to do that 6 months ago. You two agreed to do that. Why didn't that happen?
You know, a lot of the information, you know, what the engineers tell us, we pass on. And if they don't tell us the truth, we tell that, and, you know, that kind of goes on.
There was an idea that you were going to speak on the radio every Monday morning and talk about what was completed last week and what the goals were for this week. I haven't heard that yet.
No, it hasn't.
Mr. Mayor, may I ask
Yes.
a question? My name is Jennifer Boca, and our family has a couple of businesses downtown. And so basically I'm in support of those business owners here this evening. But have worked with contracts in a number of the businesses I've been involved with in the past. And are this engineering group and construction company facing any penalties for the breach of contract at this point? From a financial standpoint?
No.
You know, once,
I was assured by our attorney when we did this extension that the contract has at the end of the thing, we could try to recoup some of our money. And I'm assuming that still is in place. I distinctly asked you about that when we did the thing. I said, how come we're not talking about recovering the money, the extra $200,000 that we're paying in engineer's fees? And you said there was a contingency at the end of the contract that we could recover, or attempt to recover that. So I'm assuming that's still in the case.
Well, there are clauses in the contract that allow for, as we saw, where they went over on days that, you know, they're only approved for so many days. If they go over, it's a very complex contract that it's hard to explain all
But
of
the
that.
question I asked was if we could recover the money, extra money that we're paying the engineer because it was over on the contract, and you said there was conditions in that contract that we could recover that.
If there's certain circumstances would need to be met for that, to be able to recover. I don't remember that exact question.
I do, because I was very worried about when we approved that contract. I said all along that we need to get the extra money we're spending on engineers need to be coming from the construction company, because that is all on them. The reason they run out of pay or time is because, number one, their subcontractor showed up 45 days late, I believe is what they said. So they waited 45 days, so there's 45 days we're paying for that we should get that money back. We should get the engineering money back. The only reason we're extended right now is because their subcontractor was late. That's nothing to do with the city. That has to do with them and their subcontractors. We shouldn't be paying for that. And I distinctly asked you directly if we're going to get the money back from the engineer if we approve this contract, and you said there was clauses in the contract that allowed us to do that.
Prior to me being a police officer, I was in public works, and I did a lot of public works jobs like this. And typically, if you don't finish the job by a certain day, there's liquidated damages. I think UM Western just experienced that with the contract
right now with Davies.
on Atlantic Street.
They're in the
So there is a way for, and it's a very common thing with liquidated damages. you don't get the job done by this day, hopefully that's in there. I don't know, I haven't seen it, but I know you guys are in good hands there, but that's a great question, you know, that's a good way to recoup money. Unfortunately, you gotta hold these people to the fire. Maybe a 3-week look ahead, that's something standard that we had to provide. We're gonna be doing removal of this, and if we don't have that expectation, why? And what's gonna happen next? What's your remedy to fix that? And that's just a good way to hold that contractor to that schedule, because it's very, very time consuming, and you got a lot of contractors that need to come in, from the demo, et cetera, everything.
I would also add, thank you for the information. I would also just add that I've been here for the last couple of hours and witnessed your meeting, and it's very apparent to me that the city council has a great deal of passion for the community. Each of you give your reports and represent what you have experienced and been involved with in this community. And it's very obvious you wouldn't do this if you didn't care about the city. So please don't think that those of us sitting here are here with any manner of disrespect for what you're doing. But more so, I would share with you that I myself own a couple of small businesses and have recently transitioned back from a job, long story short, transitioned from a job in Billings where I traveled back and forth, so have brought my small businesses here to Dillon and was very enthusiastic about moving out of my home office into a downtown location here. Have been looking at rental opportunities here, really, really excited about the feeling of downtown Dillon and having a home base that was not in my home office to interact with this community and interact with people that come in your front door and see that. And it's actually very disheartening to me, and we have pulled back from the desire to be downtown with another business. And I simply say that to show you, I don't believe this is your fault as the council. I believe this is the fault of the construction company and the engineers. But it's a bigger problem than might just be apparent from the business owners that are here already. It's deterring not only tourists from coming downtown, but it is deterring new businesses from bringing growth to your community. In a time where we're seeing real estate at all-time highs, we're seeing transactions occur and new people come to the community, we're actually cutting off our nose to spite our face, to be very honest, with the situation that we're witnessing, because people can't come downtown and grow their businesses. They can't come downtown and visit. They can't come downtown and park and enjoy this community. So on behalf of the business owners and someone who would really like to be involved in this community, I would highly encourage you to look into what remedies, what lost damages you may be able to gain from the clauses in the contract, and really take value in listening to these business owners, because as an outsider looking in, on one hand, it is really hard to see what it's doing to this community, and I really hope Dillon doesn't lose the momentum that we could gain right now in the real estate market that we're witnessing.
Mr. Mayor,
I've got a question. So what committee would be appropriate to research the contract and come up with some punitive damages to get this damn thing back on track?
That would be the city attorney. It wouldn't be a committee, it'd be a city attorney.
So when could we expect that?
Are you wanting immediate? I mean, one of the issues is a lot of these damages they don't happen right
Sure.
now. I mean, the only things that legally we could do is tell them to stop. I don't know I don't think anybody wants them to just pack up and leave. I mean, then we'd be in breach too. But I mean, there's not, for what the businesses are facing, there's not an immediate legal remedy. We can't tell the construction company to fork over damages right now, because normally those come, as you've seen, we get to the end, we get the bill, we rectify the bill, we say, hey, you were over this many days, so we're going to take that out of what we're going to pay you. We saw that happen already with where we negotiated down what would be paid on a bill. And, you know, at the end, it's going to come down to seeing what, you know, we don't have the exact damages right now. That's what makes this a difficult situation. And as for why the streets sign is down there, it's also, as said, there's machinery driving on the street, making it extremely unsafe for people to be driving on the street with the machinery on the street. So our hands were kind of tied there too, by saying, what, do we want someone to get hit by a piece of equipment? You know, it's been one of the toughest, you know, things to watch and observe, because you're trying to address so many different situations: health, profits, getting the job done. I unfortunately wasn't here when the contract was written, so I'm also having to work with something that I didn't have a hand in at all. I have to deal with what's been handed to me. So it's, as for what we can do right now, is the issue, I guess, what is the biggest issue, would be my question for the businesses. Is it foot traffic, or is it parking?
Yeah, so I think this has to be a two-pronged approach, Marta. That's what I want to come back and readdress. So right now, I'm trying to keep my business afloat, so there's loss of revenue, so I'm trying to remedy that, which was part of my conversation with the mayor yesterday, and hopefully it'll be part of our conversation next week. So that's part A. Part B is getting this street project rolling. I'm just baffled. I'm amazed. How did we get so far out of whack from the original intent of that contract? How did we get from starting right here? I was so excited. I was one of their biggest cheerleaders initially, because I saw them tear this thing up in 2 to 3 days. I turned to my buddy Corey. I said, I think we're going to be fine, bud, because the next is going to be our block, and it's going to be 2 to 3 days. And the next block, that original matrix that I had from Mungus Construction, not the engineer, because I watched 2 weeks ago as Kevin said that he wouldn't address why now he's saying August 22nd to be paved and gone, which probably means September or October. I think we all know that. So that's on Mungus. So I got a copy of the original timeline. The timeline said April 27th, they were supposed to have our block dug up, the main laid, buried, re-gravelled, and on to the next block. April 27th, that was all supposed to have been accomplished. When I asked Kip at the last meeting on the 18th of May that we had, I said, just give me a ballpark. When can we expect our street to be paved? Because remember, they were going to bury it, gravel it, and come back and repave it all at once. I got it. He said, I can't answer that. I said, why not? Why are you skirting my question? He says, because we have not subcontracted the paver yet. Now, I hope that that's happened by now. I do. I know nothing about construction, but I know a lot about leadership, and I know about logistics. And I can tell you in Montana, you can pay maybe 4 or 5 months out of the year. And if you haven't subcontracted your paver, at the point that we had that discussion, which was 18 May, I left there very, very concerned for our community and even more concerned for our businesses. So how did we get here? How did we go from this block to all of these peripheral streets? Now they're down in front of the post office and apparently working north. It kind of almost looks to me like I'm being punished and like they want my business to fail because I've been vocal. I'm really wondering, is that the case here? I hope not. But what am I supposed to think when I see all of this happening? How did we, who's ever supposed to have oversight on them, how did we allow this to happen is my question. And I'm not half as concerned as what has happened, as how we're going to fix it and get this thing rolling. Because I'm here to tell you, it's the 15th of June, and we are in peak tourism season. And my revenue losses are compounding now. It's one thing to lose money in April and May, it's a whole nother to lose money in June, July, August. That's different money, I can assure you. So those are the two things, Marty, I hope that's answered your question. That's what I'm trying to solve simultaneously, get this project back on track. I would get them down and start tearing this thing up tomorrow. If you're gonna leave it closed, then why aren't they tearing it up? And I've heard all this about weather. give me a break, I'm not buying it. Some of it maybe, out here wet, they turn it over, but that heavy rain didn't happen until just a couple weeks ago. Come on. That can't be an excuse. So let's get those guys down here, get this thing torn up and get it buried at 2 or 3 weeks. I kept hearing how quickly it's gonna go when they get there. Yeah, but when are you gonna get there is my question. It's not happening. And we're allowing it to happen. Let's take control of this thing and get them back on track and get them moving in the direction they should be moving by that contract. 60 days. 60 days from Helena to Seabrook. Their 60 days is up. They went 1 block in 60 days. Literally, right? That's what it looks like to me. So I'm trying to find some money to keep my business open, and I'm trying to look out for my community, and let's get this thing opened up before it's too late. Some of us aren't going to be here. We're not going to be able to recover from this if we allow it to go much longer. And I got too many people relying on me. You know, I do good things in my community. I do good things for other communities. I've got a lot of vendors relying on me. I don't quit, and I'm not going to quit on this. I'm not going away. So please, let's get this thing fixed. Have whatever meeting you guys got to have. You know, and if I appreciate Mr. Hand your comments on a $40,000 or $50,000 engineer study, because I would love to have that money split 8 ways. And that's about $8,000 a pop. We could use that right now. Yeah. Sorry about your bridge. We could use that money. Yeah. All right. Thank you. That's all I got to say.
I'd like to also speak up in Eboka. I have a daily yarn, and I've been.
They need to have you talking to a microphone.
Do you, Mary Jo? Okay. I don't know if my tire button can make it that far.
Yeah.
Eboka. Is that good? Okay. I own the Daily Yarn. I've been a downtown presence in this business for 8.5 years. And I think your question was a good one. What do we need to do? And one of the things that I have seen that has created an issue for us as downtown businesses is the accessibility issue. You know, and I know Ron is addressing that with the roadblocks and whatnot. I have 2 different groups of people that have sustained my business. Our local community people who are my loyal customers that are my bread and butter people. They're the people that come in regularly and they carry the heart of the business, so to speak. And then the other aspect of what carries my particular business is the people that have developed the habit of stopping in this community. So they have they're traveling through. They create windows of time to stop in certain communities where they have found good things. I think we all do that when we travel. And so what's happening is a small margin of those people are coming to me still, but it's a very decreased margin of people. This window of time that we have in the summer is when we develop the cushion that carries our small businesses through the winter months while we try and sustain with the heart community members that carry us. They're good folks, and we are blessed to live here. But the bottom line is there's only so many of us. And so we need that outside group of people that have an interest in our community, in this area, to develop that cushion. We're losing the cushion. And that's why it's so concerning to us. It's like, I had a gal come in last week and they were pulling a fifth wheel and they are customers that I see on a yearly basis. And she's like, oh my gosh, if I had not wanted to get here, we would not have got here. We had to park 3 blocks away and then navigate everything to get to your shop. I was so thankful she came. But her story is not unusual, and not everyone is that hardy or sturdy or willing to navigate what is happening. And as other people in our block have said,
on the front end, we understood, this needs to be done. We get that. A lot of us are longtime residents here. But the backstory is, this construction company works for us. They work for us. And you guys represent us. And so we need help. We need representation. We need to know you care about keeping our businesses open. And we need to know where this stands. We just need to know. We're just asking to be in the loop. We just need information. It gives us encouragement. It gives us hopefulness. It gives us a willingness to put on street fairs. Whatever we gotta do. I mean, we're trying. We really are. But are we alone? We're doing it alone. So, thank you.
Thanks, Dee.
Any other public comment?
Well, it seems to me, Mr. Mayor, that we need a babysitter to babysit the ones that are babysitting the contractors. I mean, because things are not getting done. And if they can't, I mean, I don't know if it's in the contract for sure or not, but if they aren't getting certain things done, they aren't getting paid until that's done. You know, and within a reasonable amount of time. There needs to be some pressure. I used to build homes, contract, and when I get a bid, if it costs more than what my bid was, that was my bad. Not the owner of the building that I was building it for. It was my bad. I took the brunt, not them. So why are we not putting the same measures on them? I think what concerned me at one of the meetings when the engineer was here talking and we were talking about maybe getting to a point to where we could reduce the water rates by $6. And he said, oh no, you don't want to do that. That put a big question sign in my mind. He wants to get that money, not because we were going to be able to use the monies that we got from the state to pay this way down so we could possibly, because we put a $12 increase on our water bills, to hopefully reduce that to $6. And then you've got an engineer saying, oh, you don't want to do that. Sounds to me like he wants to get every penny he can get. But back to what I was saying, maybe we need somebody to babysit them. Because they aren't doing what they're told, what they said they were going to do. It's not open as to what's going on. I don't know how, you say you're getting weekly information, but we're not hearing anything about it. I mean, the community isn't. We need to sit down with them and we need to have a plan to get this done. Otherwise, we're going to lose a lot of businesses in town.
That's very awesome.
So Mr. Mayor, I still am in a quandary of what we should do. It seems to me that we had agreed 6 months ago that there would be a weekly update for the downtown businesses, and it would be delivered to them. It would be, they would just write it out, what was accomplished last week and what they hope to accomplish in the coming week. And it would be delivered to each business. There would be a Facebook page created just for downtown businesses, and updates would be included on that Facebook group, especially those ones that come up, there's a rainstorm and we have to close down everything, or, things that come up like that. And that there would be weekly radio. Somebody from the city would go down and talk on one of the programs that they do, the special interest programs, weekly. So I mean, that would accomplish some of the communication things. I guess I'm just not clear on what we can do about speeding up things. I don't know what we can do. Is the Water and Sewer Committee, you're the guys that put this together, do you have some ideas? Mr. Hand?
I don't understand why they're hopscotching around. That's one thing I understand, they're doing little projects here, 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 here. But why not sit out there, like you said, and do the whole stretch, get that done, and then go off and do the little projects around, so they don't inconvenience many people.
I think that we're going way past what we can legally do in public comment. I think if we wanted to continue discussing this, we need to have a special council meeting posted for Monday. Monday's a holiday. Tuesday is the earliest we could probably have a posting and put one item on the agenda to discuss what we need to do to get the contract in line. The problem with public comment is you cannot discuss too much, you can't make decisions. The public has the right to know, and I think we're going on farther than we should be going under public comment. If we want to discuss this again, I would like to call for a special council meeting on, like I said, Tuesday would be the earliest I think we could get it done because of the holiday coming up. But if everybody can come here, let's do it at early 6 o'clock in the evening so all the businesses have time to close and come.
That would be good.
And let's see if we can get the engineer here and Kip, is that the guy from Mungus, and let's just have a sit down and say, you know, what's going on? We need to know what's going on.
Can we be all supplied to contract?
It was available online, I'm assuming it's still online?
If it's still online?
It was.
I didn't, I mean, I was online today, I didn't ever see it online. Where is it online?
It was in the water and sewer, if you go back into the water and sewer when they first discussed this, probably a year ago now.
Could it be sent to the entire council? Put in the packet for a special meeting?
Do you know how big the contract is?
Yeah.
It's about that thick, probably 500 pages almost. So you're talking
Books like the finance book. It's very complex, and unless you're good in legalese, like I hope Marty is, most of us are gonna get lost and go to sleep.
Yeah. Well, but I think that good things have been brought up. I think Jeremy has brought up the unprofessional workmanship and attitude towards downtown businesses. I mean, that idea that they're making comments about women as they get out of cars, that they're urinating, publicly urinating in our public streets. I mean, those kinds of things have to stop right now. I mean, right now, they have to stop.
I don't disagree. I think you're right.
You don't disagree with anything I say, Mr. Hand.
I do know with the urination situation, it's brought to Officer Alvarez's attention and to mine, and we addressed it as soon as we could. Without visiting, I visited with Kip about it. And then I know Officer Alvarez reached out to it.
We've been attempted to write a citation, unfortunately we couldn't identify the individual.
Well, with that, I call for adjournment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned at 9:11.